I don't remember nothing. Nothing. You understand?
Hi there, welcome to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we level up in health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. As you can see with my intro and also obviously with my thumbnail, I will be using and making reference to the matrix when it comes to today's discussion, when we talk about how ignorance is bliss and how men tend to want to stay within the matrix and in the social, try not to make too many waves so that they basically can stay within what is the social order, what is you would call your basically society and fit in, and as we would call it in the manosphere, to stay on on the plantation. So welcome to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. And today I'm going to talk about ignorance is bliss. I'm going to be using Cypher as an example because the scene between the agent and Cypher basically clearly and perfectly illustrates the discussion that I'm going to be talking about today. You know, when it comes to the way we operate within the Red Pill manosphere, and or at least within the manosphere itself, we talk about certain things, and a lot of these things are controversial. It is something that a lot of women and men especially, they are not used to. And because society tells them the wonderful things that they want to hear, I spoke about it on my previous live streams, and you guys can go check it out, where I talk about social engineering and how we, as we grow up, we basically get conditioned to a certain age, to a certain extent, and as we grow and go into life, we basically take on these things, and it becomes part of our programming. And after a while, you will be so brainwashed to an extent where if you are challenged with what you have been grown up to believe, you will fight vehemently to defend it. It's not because, although you are being presented with data, stats, and statistics to prove factually that what you think is incorrect, because you have believed it for so long, and there is this ego investment that's become part of you. You get to a point where when facts are presented to you in the certain discussions about certain things, and in the manosphere and on the manosphere paradigm, we talk about the relationships, wealth, and hobbies. On the relationship front and life in general, a lot of us want to hold on to what we grew up with. We don't want to ask questions. I am someone that grew up within a Christian background. However, my grandparents, when it came to my grandmother from my mom's side, was as we would call it, Dutch Reform denomination. Then we had in my father's side was AFM. Then when I went to a Catholic primary school, in my high school and later years, I became part of a charismatic church. And I grew up with all these different aspects or different approaches to Christianity. And for me, the main question was, why is there so many denominations? And as I grew up and working with, we call it ecumenical organizations, I did life skills training and a lot of youth leadership and young leadership training with youngsters, and did camps, and we call it Bundu Bash or Bundu camping, where you'd be out survival camps and stuff like that. So I deal with organizations that came from with a Christian approach. But however, it was different denominations that was part of the leadership team or the team that was busy with that program. So I grew up from already having this diverse type of approach to Christianity. It piqued my interest even more to want to understand what the differences is in denominations and why we have so many. And I went into studying some of it, understanding Catholicism, understanding apostolic churches, understanding the Anglican, the Lutheran, understanding AFM, Dutch Reform, all of their histories as to where it comes from, and also obviously in today's day and age, the charismatic or approach. And already back then, because of that upbringing, I had that interest to want to know a lot of different things and wanting to understand why certain things are the way they are and why we believe what we believe. Or as I got older, I asked myself, why do I have to get up to go work at a job just to pay my salary, pay a salary, so I can live a life, wake up, do something. I'm still doing the 9 to 5, but I asked the question back in my 20s already as to how I can do things differently. But you know what, a lot of myself included and a lot of us, we tend to get into the youngster living the life in the 20s, and sometimes we don't focus on the things we should. But I asked myself the questions back then, and to this day, I have this the Matrix. Number one, the Matrix movie has been my ultimate favorite movie of all time. Yes, I grew up with Rocky. I grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. When it came to Terminator, I grew up with all of those iconic movies. But the movie that stuck with me as in my late teens, and the movie that I carried forward when anyone asked me, so what's your favorite movie? I go on a date, whatever. The Matrix, and obviously after that became the Matrix trilogy. Just the storyline captivated me, because for me, I could see already back then how we are brought up to live a life within our families, within society, and we are brought up to believe and told that that is the norm. And you know, you look at certain people that's out there, the guys that's your preppers, guys that looks at and all at the world a different way, and they always get tagged with this negative type of I would say connotation or negative label, where they now are being tagged as being a conspiracy theorist. And when someone calls you conspiracy theorist, yeah, he's a crazy, blah, 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 write them off. But you know what? I had a conversation today, or at least in this week, and I again was reminded how there's a certain time that certain men cannot be unplugged from the matrix, from society. They've been so indoctrinated as to believing that the wage gap is something that's actually real. Believing that, you know what, if you're going to chase a woman, if you're going to do everything they tell you to do, be sensitive, be all of that, you know what, that's gonna equate to you being successful and getting the woman. But funny enough, you've probably done that in the past. You've been the nice guy, and none of those things work. And you always see her going with the other guy that displayed or didn't even do half of the things you did, and you couldn't understand why. So this whole thing about the Matrix, a lot of guys write it off as to you guys are making Matrix references, and that is so childish, and I'm going to write it off. You guys are stupid. Fine, you do you. But the Matrix is a movie that is a very good illustration of how we are so plugged into to what society has conditioned us to do, to believe, to think, and that constantly changes. You can see with today's day and age, you've had all these different movements, and you can see the hypocrisy as to how men are being held to a certain standard, but then when it comes to women, when it comes to certain groups, I would call them at times they can basically do what they want to because they've got this level of protection. And if you dare as a man to speak out and basically say, you know what, but that doesn't make sense, and logically speaking, A, B, C, and D, and what you're saying is not factually based, it sounds more like emotion and it doesn't make sense. No, you are misogyny, as they call it on Fresh and Fit. We would say the massager, you know the rest. You know, these are the buzzwords on YouTube. Also, your videos get flagged if you do speak about some of these things. So that in itself shows you that we're living within the matrix, and we are having to tread lightly as to not trigger the algorithm, so that we can at least be able to grow our channels as the manosphere. There's a lot of content providers. We talk about what happens in real life. We talk about the truths about life. Sometimes it is not something that people want to hear. And tonight I'm talking about the ignorance is bliss, how men woefully want to hold on to the fantasy and they don't want to move on. And even if you recall back in the movie The Matrix, when Morpheus, when he unplugged Neo, the first thing he did was to apologize to Neo. He believed so much that Neo was the one, that he took a risk. Neo reached an age, I think he was like late 30s or somewhere around there, or close to 30 or over 25, somewhere there. His character in the movie Neo, and they would consider that to be too old because the level of indoctrination and the way your internal programming would fight against this new information that you're being presented would be too much. And this is encapsulated perfectly within a character like Cypher. He has been unplugged. He became RP aware. He has seen the world for what it is. He's accepted it. And there's certain things that he goes through, and I'm going to take you guys through the journey of how this character of Cypher, and a lot of, if you find yourself and you can identify with Cypher, you need to ask yourself some hard questions. I'm not here to force you to be unplugged. I'm telling you what it is. I'm giving you the facts. It's up to you to say to yourself, you know what? That steak looks good. I'm going to go back because I want my steak and I want to eat it, and I don't want to be bothered with this RP crap, and I want to just do me. The problem is, you know what, the numbers when it comes to divorce rates, all these other things, how guys are not winning when they are basically not in their masculine frame. These things are reflective in our different countries, that are the closer they west to a westernized type of setup and society, the more the similarities across them is the same. So you know what? I want to just encourage you, support the channel going forward. I want to get into the topic. I want to go through some facts. But at the end of the day, you know what? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, help my channel to be picked up by the algorithm, to grow, and for more men to be able to come across manosphere content, whether it's me, whether it's other content providers that's out there that's providing value and helping men to see another perspective and to see the truth. At the end of the day, it's completely up to you to basically tell yourself, you know what, this is new information, or to fight against it and want to go back to being plugged in. The last, I'll just play that video clip I played earlier. I'll play it a bit further to the end, and you can actually see the discussion as to, you know what, I'll actually get back to that in the middle, close to the middle of what I'm going to discuss. So, ignorance is bliss. And the bottom line is, you cannot unplug men past a certain age. You know, Rolo spoke about it last night. Before, I'm not gonna try and basically try to steal his thunder. But when it comes to last night, when I saw Rolo's the Rational Male, go check out this channel. When I saw last night's stream, I was actually busy. I was busy with this stream's thumbnail, creating the thumbnail so I can post it up so you guys can see what's coming up next. And I was like, you know what, this is awesome, because at the end of the day, it seems like the manosphere, without even seeing each other's content, there's a certain level of where we are in sync. And that for me was so awesome to see, because for me it also gave some a certain level of affirmation that I'm on the right track, and I am got my finger on the pulse as to seeing what's happening. And funny enough, like I said earlier, I had an encounter and a discussion in this week with someone where I presented facts, basically. I gave them the facts. I told them this is what it is. This is where I'm getting the information from. And all it turned out to be, or to where the conversation was, not to get to push back on the points that I was discussing and the facts I was presenting. All it was, the way they basically rebutted and came back to me with a counter argument was basically to completely discredit what I'm saying without any evidence, without giving me a counter argument. You know, that's a sign of a bad debater, because if you cannot even entertain or get past your emotion to actually listen to someone else, you're going to stifle your growth. You're going to stifle your ability to learn, because you always have this mentality that you are always right and you always know better than others, because I don't know, because of what your status is, what your upbringing is, what your education is. But if we stop learning and stop and think that no one can teach us anything, and we won't listen to someone we consider maybe below us, you know what? That's your thing. But for me, it was I would say it was eye-opening that the person that was doing that, I would consider them educated, and I would think that facts, if you present facts, that is something that is what they would consider and then obviously discuss. But that wasn't the case. So you know what? It was great that I had that discussion in this week. I saw what's happening with Rolo. I'm in sync. I'm already creating this video, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? I have come to the conclusion, and Rolo also mentioned it last night, that you cannot unplug men past a certain age. The level of conditioning, the level of indoctrination is run so deep that they will fight tooth and nail to basically make sure that they throw ad hominem attacks at you. They do not want to listen to what you have to say, because what you're saying is stupid in their opinion, and that is the level of debate that they come at you and wanting to write you off and tell you what you are saying is crap. So you know what? In the manosphere, it's facts over feelings. We're going to continue to push that. I'm probably going to bring out the t-shirt. It's a phrase that's within the manosphere all over. I'm probably just actually wanting to bring out the t-shirt and some merch that has that on there. You know what? It's not mine. That I came up with. It's something I came across within the manosphere. I always say to people in conversations, and when I do that, it actually recalibrates the conversation to actually, you know what, you're right. What I actually am getting in my emotion, and I'm not giving you based on facts. And what you're saying, it's like a bitter pill to swallow. So, you know what? If you are basing your discussion on factual information, data, then and there's a back and forth and an open-mindedness towards the discussion, then there's a level of learning that can happen. But if you're shut down, if you write someone off and you're not wanting to listen at all, that talks to what is in you, what has been conditioned in you, and what is within now that has become your ego investment. When that is being challenged, you feel personally attacked, and now you feel that you need to lash out and you need to basically write the person off. And you know what? They also always start off with telling you with all due respect and then disrespect you. So for me, I call that shit out. I do not accept it, and I don't allow myself to be discarded, my opinion not to be heard. And if I'm not, as I always say, I don't go where I am tolerated, I go where I'm celebrated. So that is my experience that I had in this week. So to get onto today and onto the first fact that I mentioned was that we need to stop trying to unplug men. Sometimes you are seeing someone, you know, I can coin it like, if you see someone heading towards a cliff and they're going to go off that cliff, you can see it coming, you can see the slow progression, and you know, for down the road, you can see certain things because you are RP away and you've experienced some, you've been through some things, you've seen some things, and you are aware of some things that some guys close themselves off to. And it's something that I always say. I have had friends in my early 30s or mid 30s, when I was 30, 35. I've had friends that come to me with a problem and an issue, and we were the same age, and I'm thinking to myself, shit, man, I went through that challenge or through that problem like when I was like 23 or 24. And that's when I realized that, you know what, some of us, because we put ourselves out there, because we go at things the way we do, and we are telling ourselves, you know what, I'm gonna go get what I want, and I'm gonna do what I want, and basically, how can I say, I'm going to go out for what I want. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna risk some things. I'm gonna risk rejection. When you do put yourself in a situation and you basically go balls to the walls, you tend to get rejected, you tend to get disappointed, you maybe whatever it is, you get that disappointment, but that disappointment and that low point brings a lesson with it, and it brings growth, because now you've learned to experience that disappointment, sit with that disappointment, deal with the emotion as a man, work through it, and now you can basically come out on the other side where you've learned the lesson, you've applied what you've learned how to operate and do things differently. And now you basically say to yourself and see that, you know what, I can do things this way to get a better result. But if you don't try anything, you don't risk anything, and you don't want to listen to others that may have gone through something that they can see you heading towards that cliff. If you don't want to listen, it's up to you. No one is forcing you. You can do what you want. There's a level of to each their own, as everyone always say, to each their own. For me, I would say I always try to help my friends, and recently, and over the last 2 years, I would say I've risked a lot of friendships in seeing that some of the guys and some of the things that they are doing, I can see them heading towards that cliff, and I want to warn them. But when you do, they become defensive. They tell you that what you are saying is nonsense. They become disrespectful. And then ultimately, because you are not going to allow disrespect, you get to a point, you know what, it's time to take a break and walk away, and then focus on what you need to get focused on and basically move on. It is what it is. The second one that I want to get to is they hit you with, that is poison. And being RP away, the things that you discussed, I remembered one of the friendship that I just mentioned that I sacrificed, I would say a year ago, was I had a friend that constantly was doing certain things, and I was telling him, every time when you're doing a thing, you constantly making excuses as to why you can't get the result. And whenever I see you, you are always busy watching movies. You are out of shape. You are eating what you want. You are a guy that's single. You need to be in shape. You need to push yourself. You need to focus on your bag, focus on your career. Now, he obviously is working and doing what he's doing, but at the end of the day, it wasn't where it was like, you know what, there's a progression of things. I myself fell in that same rut, and I'm guilty of the same thing. But when I became cautious of it, I became highly sensitive to just doing the run of the mill, doing the same thing, and it is what it is. So I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I am. But the first thing they hit me with, the things that you're talking about is so poisonous, and it can make you jaded, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? All that is, and all I hear when I hear that is fear. Is because it's fear of the unknown. Because in the movie, Morpheus does say, take the red pill, and I will take you down this rabbit hole, and we see how far it goes. Didn't know what the hell was coming, but he took the leap of faith in saying, you know what, I'm all in. Sometimes we have to do that when it comes to things that we want to achieve and certain things that we want to get through. We want to get to a point where we say to ourselves, you know what, we want to say we want to say, you know what, let go of the fear. I myself, there's certain things I'm wanting to get through. I've always spoken about the motorbike. When I had started motorbiking again, I went through 600cc. I couldn't ride the bike. I was scared as AF. I was scared, and I was on this level of, you know what, shit, if I fall on this thing, I'm gonna hurt myself. But I push through that fear. I practice, and I mean, this evening I came home. My grandmother was sick. I went to go visit, and on my way home on the highway, there's a nice bend on Hospital Bend here in Cape Town, and I put the bike sideways, sitting at about 160, 170, going sideways around this bend. And I'm looking down at my speedometer, and I'm looking at the way I'm comfortable. I'm looking at the traffic. I'm riding the bike, doing what I'm doing, and I'm thinking to myself, a couple of years ago, I was shit scared trying to do this, and I was thinking to myself, I'll never be able to get to that kind of level of thinking that I'm getting somewhere decent when it comes to my riding skill. But look where I am now. I'm not a professional. I am gonna go for some advanced learning and training on a track. And I said that's one of the things I want to do for 2020, and I'm going to create the content around it so you can enjoy and see what I'm up to and enjoy the journey with me. But you know what? Sometimes we have to do something. You have to put something in your calendar for 2020, for the new year. Put something in there, something that scares the shit out of you, where you think about it and say to yourself, there's no way I'll be able to do it. But get that saying that you can't do it out of your vocabulary, get it out of your mind. Tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna try. And when you do, go all out. Do not say to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna go at it my pace. Try and understand what the standard is, and try to hit the standard. One of the things that I'm looking forward to now, and I'm needing to get back into my swimming training, is to do the ultra triathlon that's happening again in March of 2022. I'm gonna be training towards that. Again, I'm gonna do the content so that you guys can follow me and see what happens, and maybe it's something that inspires you, and you think to yourself, you know what, that is definitely something I can go try and see how much I can push myself. So when it comes to being scared about something, always push yourself to the next level. Always put something consciously in your calendar. You put it on there, you book the event, you book whatever the case may be, you pay the money up front, so that now that you've invested, you've booked, you know, maybe you're still gonna chicken out and don't do it, but then it's on you because you've invested, you've paid the money, and now you've got nothing to show for it. Or book the event, book the thing that you always wanted to do, book it, pay for it, and go out there and see what the hell it's gonna create, what it's gonna do, how it's gonna open other doors for you. So you know what? When I hear that whole thing of guys telling you that the red pill is poison, they're looking at it and looking at the red pill rage that we call it, because once we become RP aware and you see the world for what it is, you are going to become upset. You're going to be pissed off, not just at the world in general, because now you see it for what it is and how much it has lied to you. You're going to be upset with your family, your parents. Maybe you're going to be upset with the mentors you may have had up to that point, as to how they're teaching you certain things that is so within the conditioning of the way you should do things, and not deviated because that's the way they were told. You know, you're going to become upset with everyone. You're going to get this level of rage within you, because you like, you know what, I've been lied to all these years. And some men get stuck in that, and that is where the poison part comes in. At the end of the day, when it comes to the truth, the word says, the truth shall set you free. The word didn't say the truth is going to taste good and it's going to be something that is going to go down so well. The truth is always uncomfortable. The truth is always sometimes offensive. Why is it offensive? Because it pushes against what you've been brought up that's necessarily not correct. So that is where I'm saying, when you internalize certain things and you fight with it, it's because of the conditioning and the programming that you've been exposed to, that you basically are fighting back and looking at it as a personal attack because it is so ingrained in you. So we would say that understanding and becoming RP aware and knowing and seeing the world for what it is. It's like medicine. It's a medicine. You have to decide if it's poison. You're gonna stay in that rage, or you're gonna take the medicine. Because if you take medicine, you take the course. You take one pill a day, or you take three pills, breakfast, lunch, and supper a day, and you run the course of the prescription they gave you. If there's an antibiotic pill that you need to take, there's a 3 days, 5 days, 7 days that you need to take the pill and work out that infection out of your body. You need to take it over that course. That is what medicine does. At that time when it's unpleasant, when you still have the pain, you still have that emotion of feeling betrayed, you have to keep on taking your medicine. And this RP truth is something that you have to keep on taking so that you can maintain that abundance mindset and understand certain times it's not your fault. And also sometimes, and where you need to take accountability for things and then push through on those things to become better, and also just to not to be that mediocre. And you know what, it is what it is. I am what I am. That's my excuse. So take the medicine. That's up to you. Or you can stay with and consider it as a poison and wanting to run away from it. So I'm going to say that it's totally up to you. Like I said, we are not forcing anyone into becoming RP aware. We understand why people fight tooth and nail against it, and they will also put all the negative connotations when you've become this RP aware and understanding about relationships, why the girlfriend cheated on you, why maybe if you had a wife that cheated on you, maybe you had a business deal that went south, where you were always trying to make up, and you were always the one that was so loyal and putting in the hard work and being the best business partner you can be, but you still got screwed. And all those things that you may have gone through, there was a very simple pattern that the RP simply illustrates when you understand it. So it's up to you, poison or you can take the medicine and basically get better. And then from there, once you're better and see it for what it is, you know how to better maneuver, how to basically grow. And what happens, unfortunately, at times is people would call it the poison, but the question that Rolo posed last night, and it's something that I also was saying to myself to think, you know what? I was thinking, the question is, if you're saying someone, this is poison, you know what, this is stupid, and I'm not going to listen to this, blah, blah, blah. Ask yourself, would you rather be happy? Because Cypher wanted to eat his steak. He wanted to eat his chowy steak. He wanted to know nothing about what's happening in the real world. He wanted to live in the dream world. He wanted to get plugged back in. He wanted to love that world. It is what it is and be happy. But the question is, at the end of your road, would you want to be happy and have a happy life, or would you rather be right and be able to make certain decisions that you can ultimately make a change in your life and not just become a statistic part of all the statistics that's out there when it comes to the divorce rate, when it comes to being the one that is being taken for a ride, going through all the things and saying to yourself, oh my word, I never knew this, and I never saw it coming. You chose to want to be plugged in. You chose to love the happy mentality, to believe in the Disney fairy tales. You cannot get upset if you want to live and be happy and always focus on happy. That when things go south, you want to be upset at not just the world, you want to be upset at God. You want to ask God, why did this happen to me? Blah, 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 blah. If you are wanting to live in a fairy tale, you're going to get fairy tale results, and you can't blame anyone but yourself. But the question is, do you want to be right? You are right by seeing patterns, seeing certain things, and realizing, you know what? There is so many things that is kept where we being herded in believing into certain things, where we are being conditioned to believe certain things, whether it is relationships, whether it's about society. And today's day and age, the hot topic is obviously gender, as to how many genders there is. if you're a hetero man, and you are a guy that believes in very strong masculine roles, you're being told and being shamed for what you believe, but yet you are being told that you must listen to everyone else and accept everyone else. But when you give your explanation or your point of view, no one wants to hear it. So those are the levels of hypocrisy that we understand in the manosphere. We know about it, and we are not going to be shamed into silence. We're going to keep on talking. We're going to keep on giving you the truth so that you can grow. You can make up your mind for yourself to say, you know what, this is something I need to take note of, and I need to learn some of and listen to what they are saying. And maybe if there's certain lessons that I can pick up, again, like I always say, take the meat, spit out the bones, take what works for you. But the thing is, you can't also force certain fairy tale thinking and use this new knowledge to want to get those fairy tale results, and thinking, okay, I'm going to manipulate it this way, that way, so I can get the fairy tale result, and then my life is actually going to be great. No, you have this RP thing. Once you become aware, once you start putting in the work, and once you get into that grind of and pushing yourself, being on your purpose, leading your relationships as the man, maintaining your frame, whether in a long-term relationship or in a marriage, working on making sure that you are always looking your best, your grooming is on par, your style is on par. These are the things that you as a man need to constantly do, no matter if you're in a long-term relationship or a marriage, because your woman, you need to keep constantly remind your woman why she fell in love with you, or why she wanted to be with you in the first place. If you become overweight, obese, and not worry about how you look, you just do what you want, and she must love me for me, you're going to experience some cold hard truths, and you're going to be running to the manosphere and knocking on the door for some red pill truths, and wanting to learn the lessons that we've been talking about all this time. So it's up to you. The next one that I want to mention is, you need to get past the rage. Once you're in that rage and you stay there, it's going to be a poison to you, because it's going to poison everything else. You're going to look at life negatively. If you can say to yourself, I'm going to live my life a certain way, and that's fine. But if you're going to look into living a life that's negative, in always wanting to put women down, wanting to put other men down, and saying that this world is just, everyone is just pathetic and crap, and everyone is basically we fallen. Yes, we are fallen, but you know what? We can also end the manosphere. We can learn to build, and there's a lot of things, some projects that I've always been part of. This year I didn't take off for some reason. There was the COVID, but again, I'm not going to be making those excuses. But definitely for the new year, I'm going to start some projects, and again, I'm going to create some content, share it on here, so you guys can always see the things that I'm doing, that I am pushing myself. I'm doing things. I'm pushing to build other men, encourage other men, and obviously show those receipts to you guys as to what I'm doing, other than just talking about it, but being about it. Receipts is one of the things that is sought after and gives you more credibility. It's not to show you, see, this is what I'm doing. It is about showing you that I am congruent as a man, and the things that I'm talking about, I'm doing actively in my life. So, you know what? Get past the red pill rage and build your life to what you want. Look at what you want. I have looked at my life a year or two back, and I said to myself, I'm not happy with certain things, and I'm going to change it. I've done some changes, and now I'm also pushing myself into other things. I'm trying to learn about stocks, how to operate and become a trader on the stock market. I've learned about in South Africa, we have a bank called Capitec, and in Capitec has equity. What is it called? Let me tell you guys what it's called. I'm not going to talk through my neck. I'm going to pronounce it properly. It is called, sign in. It is called, come on. Easy Equities. I've registered for it, and it's a platform here on that Capitec has made available, that you can go on and you take some of your money, And like anything, it is a risk, it's a gamble. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just saying there's an avenue, there's a platform. You can take some money. Sometimes you want to invest it into something, but you don't know where to start. You can take some money, do something, and take some stocks, learn about EFTs, learn about ETNs, learn about obviously crypto and those kind of things, and types of investment you can do, and see to build yourself some additional income, and have it as an additional income stream to and learn some more. I've started delving into learning about stocks, understanding ETFs, how it trades, how ETN works, how equity works, how all of these things works. You know what? It's just a good thing for you to learn. And like I always say, push for your purpose, follow your purpose, and push your back, get off your back. I'm pushing myself to learn different skills so I can offer to others and become of value to others. And also through this, taking some chances, creating another revenue stream. Those are the things that I'm wanting to push myself and build my life. I have the vision of where I see myself. I'm 41 now, and I know where I want to see myself when I get to 50, and the life that I want to live when I do get to 50, and when it comes to my wife and my family, and where I see myself. That is my drive that I wake up to every day and push myself towards, because you know what? We can't complain and get just mad at everything and just live in this rage, but we need to realize we need to build. The more we push and put and pour ourselves into others and help others to come up. I was completely clueless how to do live streams, how to do content, create content, how to put it together, how to edit it, understanding of what is a good thumbnail, what to compare to what's a bad thumbnail, understanding how to basically prepare my topics that I'm discussing, how to lay it out so that I can communicate it and present it in a manner that you can understand and comprehend it and take something away from it. So these are all the things that I've learned, and I've also obviously now gone and pushed myself to also offer to other guys that's also creating new channels and wanting to learn and looking at my channel, seeing some things and saying to themselves, you know what he's doing is great, and I actually want to learn. Reach out to me, pop me some questions, and I'll be happy to take you through the process and connect with you on that. So you know what, those are the things that I wanted to discuss tonight. And just some of the last points that I have is this. The Matrix is a dream world, and men will fight to remain plugged in to the old order thinking and fight tooth and nail to stay in it. And what I mean with that old order thinking, you still have guys out here thinking that being a traditional man, the world demands us to be a traditional man. Women want to have a traditional man. The problem is we've been so conditioned that the new man today that's in his feelings, that dresses like a woman and not a man, if you call yourself heterosexual and you wear dresses, that is not heterosexual, that's something else. If that is what you want to do and you want to embrace it, then go with it. I'm not shaming you for it. Live your life. But I, as a hetero man, will tell you that's whack. That is, I would say in Afrikaans we call it is muatas. But I would say that when it comes to a lot of things that men will fight for, they will fight for that old order thinking. Men are thinking when they offer all these traditional things, when it comes to the providing, come to the provisioning, come to the protecting, come to the mentoring, leading, all those beautiful, wonderful things that men bring to the table as with their masculine energy. They are so conditioned and they accept modern thinking women because they are being told that you need to be a traditional man, and a real man does this, a real man does A, B, and C. And they fall into the trap of being suckered into being the traditional man, but then they know deep down and they can see it in their face being flaunted by their woman. How much she sits on social media, how much she flaunts herself out to other men, And although she's in a marriage, although she's in a long-term relationship, she will be out there and she will still operate like someone that has the for sale sign around the neck. So that is the old order thinking, the way the dating world and the way the relationships nowadays, it is out of sync. It is completely in chaos. And however, men still fall and still are being suckered into believing that being traditional, offering that, bringing it to the table, is going to have them to have a woman that is traditional. But most of the times that's not the case. They are modern. Their thinking is modern. They want to take the lead. They believe in 50-50 partnerships, and it's a partnership. That is not the case. That should never be the case, because as a man, you lead, and the dynamic of someone leading, you automatically have someone following. You can't have two leaders leading. That is stupid. It's unnatural, and it's not something that makes sense. If someone leads, there's going to be a follower, and if there's a follower, there's going to be a leader. Stop listening to stupid arguments that people is making, and you are falling for these and being conned into believing these things, and then you find yourself doing all the wonderful things that they tell you should do, but then you still find out that she cheats on you, or she went or not, she's not doing what she's supposed to, or she did before you guys started or you became serious. She did all the wonderful things. She made a sandwich for you. She looked after you. She made your life easy, and she was that helpmate that you needed. But then once you gave her the commitment, she switches up on you. And as Coach Greg Adams, shout out to Coach Greg Adams, he talks about the what you call it. There's a name for it where where there's a switch, where there's the switch up that they do. And then you find yourself thinking to yourself, but I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but she's just living her best life, and here I'm like sitting with the kids or whatever the case may be. You know what? So that old order thinking, you only give you as a traditional man, you know that is not something that you can the world demands it of you, and society demands it of you. You know that you have to perform, that burden the performances on you. But you only protect and you only stand up and for the one that commits to being your woman and is doing her part and has shown that she deserves it. You don't just give it away to each and every woman just because she's beautiful or just because she's a woman and have a JJ between the legs. You have to vet women. You have to put them through the ringer, because a woman wants to chase a man as well. She does not want you to chase, because if you keep on chasing and thinking that that's the good way of doing it, I'm going to show her I'm so interested. You're going to show her that you have nothing else to do and you have no other options, and she's the only one. One-nighters, get it out of your mind, have an abundance mindset, and work on making sure that you get yourself to that level where you know you are only taking serious CVs. We call it your CVs or resumes from women that are showing their worth, and that you can vet over a decent period of time, maybe a year or so, that you know what, this woman, she's proven herself, and I can basically build something with her. It's still a risk. There's no guarantees in life. I'll make sure to put that disclaimer in there, because people do change, but the end of the day is you still went through the proper process, and she still looks at you and considers you as a catch. Why? Because you have basically vetted her and turned the table on her to basically prove herself to you. Another point I wanted to make is that the RP is not the ideology, but a practicology. It's something that you have to practice. People always say, do you not have to gym forever? Do you have to keep in shape? It's a lot of work. I don't have time for that. I just want to wear my sweats. I don't want to have time. I'm not going to constantly learn. I just want to do what I want to do. I'll smoke some weed. I'll just live my life. There's time and a place for everything. But when it comes to bettering yourself and building and growing as a man, we are designed to conquer, to overcome, to push through barriers. And that is something we have to do and constantly need to do to maintain that abundance mindset. That the fruits of that is that we need to do, with the fruits of that is an abundance mindset and a very positive outlook on your life, and where you don't take crap from anyone, including women, and they know that they can't be taking, they shouldn't dare taking chances with you. So, and the ones that do that shit test you, you flip past that with flying colors. But if they keep on shit testing you, you just move on and write it off and go to the next. It is what it is. The thing is, it's a praxeology where you practice praxeology, practice, how do I pronounce it? Oh, let me check out. The study of human action and conduct in philosophy, praxeology, or praxeology is the theory of human action based on the notion that humans engage in purposeful behavior as opposed to reflexive behavior and other unintentional behavior. So the red pill is not an ideology where you believe a certain mindset or certain an ideology that you follow in believing a certain thing. No, the red pill is hardcore truths. I spoke about that before. It's the hard truths of life. We do not look at life through the eyes of the matrix. We are unplugged, and we know that there's certain things and truths in life where female hypergamy, where that if you're taller, you're good looking, you're gonna have more options automatically because that is what women are looking for. But as a guy, maybe you're shorter, maybe you have some deficiency in some area. You have to make up in other areas to be able to compete as well. And if you say to yourself, no, you should accept me the same way, you should accept me, for who I am, you are fooling yourself, and you still believing that this the fairy tale. You need to go past that and say to yourself, I am going to accept certain truths, and I'm going to make up for the things that I lack in and basically push myself. It doesn't mean that you look down on yourself and say to yourself, I'm deficient and I'm worthless. No, you basically play to your strengths, and from there you also make sure to build on your weaknesses. So that is what it's about. And you're going to be doing this till the day you die. You're going to keep on breaking down walls. You're going to keep on going, building. You're going to constantly be pushing through barriers, whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, you know what I mean? Or when it comes to basically with life in general. You're going to be doing this and pushing yourself. And if you find yourself despondent and a bit depressed, and you find yourself in a bit of a rut and a funk, you basically reset, take a break, and then recalibrate and then recharge to come back and hit life and give it all you have. You know what? We've got one life to live. I always say the age that I am, because there's certain realizations that comes with it as well, that you say to yourself, you know what? I need to get my shit in order, and I need to figure things out, and I need to push myself, and I need to stop being lazy. I'm saying that to myself daily, and I'm encouraging you to say that to yourself in the mirror as well. And again, I'm gonna just end off by saying it is tough when you realize the world, it is tough when you basically see the world for what it is. And it becomes jarring, and you do go through some trauma because you feel betrayed. I spoke about that earlier. So you know what? Sometimes people want to stay plugged in stay plugged in, and then they basically would miss out on some lessons. And the reason some people would want to stay plugged in, stay on the plantation, stay socially acceptable. I'm not. A lot of times people take you as being provocative and wanting to just and be a shit stirrer. No, the things that I talk about is what I'm passionate about, and I will constantly talk about it. I will always talk about, because I'm seeing life through not just the surface level. I'm peeling back the layers in wanting to see things more deeper, grow, and be able to just, when I walk away from a conversation, walk away from spending time with someone, I want to feel edified in return, and not constantly pour myself and teach someone else, or be argumentative and not getting anything in return. So I am definitely looking out for like-minded guys like-minded men that I can connect with and grow with and build a network with, because that is what it's all about. Um, and sometimes, or at least I've used the example of Cypher in the Matrix, and I want to show you his reasoning for why he chose, and he explains it in this short clip.
Then we have a deal.
I don't remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? I don't want to be rich. You know, someone important. Like an actor.
Whatever you want, Mr. Regan.
Okay. Get my body back in the power plant. Reinsert me into the Matrix. I'll get you what you want.
Access codes to the Zion mainframe.
No, I told you I don't know them. And get you the man who does.
Morpheus.
Googled it.
Yeah. So when it comes to certain guys that wants to be stay plugged into what they are being conditioned to believe, like I said, they will fight tooth and nail for it, and more often than not, they will sell some people out along the way to be able to stay within the plantation. Maybe they have come across some knowledge and they know what you are saying is true. They'll at times tell you, you know what you're saying is making sense, and I kind of accept what you are saying, but you know it's dangerous, and I just don't know about it. And then they will add so many adjectives to it to explain to you how what you are saying it's good, but you know what, it's dangerous, it's poison, and I think it's going to make you a miserable man, blah 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 blah. You know what, I will not be I'll be honest with you. Since I've become red pill aware over the years, I have learned that, you know what, that fairy tale it's nice being part of the Matrix, being in the fairy tale, living that wonderful life. Look at Cypher. He wanted to be rich and a famous actor. He don't want to work for it. He doesn't want to put in whatever the work to become what he wanted. He wanted to go back to a fairy tale, and he went to the extreme to sell the entire team out. You obviously if you watch the movie, go check it out. Watch the trilogy. The Matrix is coming out. The end. I think it's next year. It's coming out or sometime, whatever. But he was willing to sell out some people just to get back in. And sometimes in today's day and age, that getting back into the Matrix is maybe getting back into a certain social circle, in a friendship circle, and they will sell you out and betray you just because they want to be with the in crowd. It's unfortunate, but some people will do that, and you need to realize, you know what, if that works for them, then that works for them. And you need to say to yourself, I'm going to swallow this pill, this medicine. I'm going to take it daily, and I'm going to make sure that I am on par with the things I want to achieve, how I want my life to turn out, and the things that I'm going to do to get that results, how hard it is, how difficult it is, and how lonely at times it is. But you're going to get to a point where you know that what you're doing and the sacrifice you're doing it for, it's ultimately going to permeate into your life, into your woman's life, your life, number one, your woman's life, your family, everyone around you is going to benefit because you are doing your best, you're pushing yourself, and you are obviously making sure to reach out to other men, build networks. You can't just be an island. You're going to build with others, because that is a true man, and a man that is considered and respected by other men is someone that has the ability to connect with people that he disagrees with. Sometimes you have to cut those off because maybe it's not productive, but the ones that you can work with, try to work with them, build with them, but again, be mindful. They can turn out to be a cipher, wanting to get back into the matrix and betray you. So that is definitely a possibility. Again, I'll end off to say that there's no guarantees in life. We have to go for what we want. Sometimes it takes some risk. Sometimes it comes to a point where we have to push past the fear. But you know what? I have seen that, when you put in the work, there's certain small clues that life gives you, and the more you are pushing yourself into the things that you want to achieve and putting in the time and energy and the work, you'll see certain doors gradually open for you, but then you still have to have the faith to walk through it and push yourself and go through and go for it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about how ignorance is not bliss. It is not bliss. If you're going to love the Disney fairy tales, only going to be bliss for that short period of time where you're going to be living in that fairy tale, but the results and the consequences are going to be something that is part of the everyday statistics when it comes to marriage statistics, when it comes to relationships, and the common things that happen. You can't complain, because if you see the cliff, you see you heading towards it, but you still walk no matter what, believing that you're going to find wings when you get to the edge. Now we accept life for what it is, and if we see the cliff, we course correct and find a better path to get down, or continue on a path and climb higher mountains. So that's what I wanted to basically bring across tonight in the Manosphere Paradigm. I want you to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and so that the algorithm can pick up my channel. I can grow my channel. I'm pushing towards 1,000 subscribers. I'm still in the double digit, and I want to get over the 100 mark, and I would appreciate if you guys, I'm seeing 65% of you guys that's watching my content are not subscribed. I'd ask you guys, subscribe, go to the, yes, it says subscribe, click, click. You're going to be notified when I do my streams. I'm going to do a couple of streams further in the next weeks or so, and then I'm going to start adding in a bit of the normal content that I had that was pre-edited and uploaded, just to create some diversity on my channel and create some variety so you guys can enjoy the channel. I'm going to keep on trying my best to stay on the pulse of what's happening within the manosphere, the type of things that's happening in society, certain events, and maybe do a bit more current events and do some reactions as well to things that's happening that can help here within the manosphere that I'm identifying. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's live stream. I myself enjoyed bringing this across. It was just a cautionary type of thing, but also a eye-opener for me, where I had the discussion in the week and learned also the lesson that, you know what, that at the end of the day, you need to stop trying to unplug men. It's not going to happen. And we need to make sure that we focus on what we need to do. And the ones that want to be into unplug, you basically give them the knowledge, you help, and then you kind of like help them and take and sit with them through the process. You obviously can't baby people, but if they are willing, they're able, and they want to get on it, then you know what? Be there for them and just help guys to become the best they can be, because that is what we want to do. We want to not be this negative reactionary type of channel that creates content for people to be on this level of just constantly reacting to other people's crap. If you are enjoying those type of channels, always wanting to exposing that for clicks, my channel is obviously I want clicks. I want to grow my channel, but I'm not going to do that on the level of just wanting to create and keep my finger on drama. As a man, that is not what we need to concern ourselves about. We need to concern ourselves with growing men. And what we need to do is stop unplugging men and understand that people will come across this content on their own, and we need to just encourage them and help them when they do come across it, and mentor and teach them further along the road if they want to. It's something that, again, you don't force someone. You can't force a horse to the water. It's for them to drink. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one, and I'm out. Manosphere Paradigm. Like and subscribe. Cheers.